Hello, Contrarians, listeners, watchers, subscribers. Here we are with another dual QVR. This is a request slash demand from Patron John Amenta, who, you know what I figured out, Alex, or at least this is my theory. He was giving us movies that he likes, and
hmm
we were not particularly crazy about them. So now, I know John, you know John. There's no way he
hmm
truly likes Alien versus Predator Requiem.
Well,
But that's what he's given us. I mean, maybe he'll surprise us. Maybe he loves this movie. But 12% on the tomato meter,
I was about to say maybe he's part of the 12%.
he could be, or maybe he's part of the 30%, the audience score, the popcorn meter. Either way, it's pretty rough scores. I've seen this baby before.
Oh, okay.
I I mean, I don't know that I've been too articulate about it on the show, but I know it's come up before. I've watched both of them, and I'm not gonna say anything until we get into this. But this is your first time, and more importantly,
hmm
you just watched uh, the original AVP.
I did. Why is Bishop in it? Like, what? I was trying to figure that out a bit. Lance Hendrickson, for those wondering. Yeah, the first one's not good. There's some like kind of cool like fist pumping moments of action, but the biggest thing and like the thing that's kind of I'm looking forward to about this one is the first one was rated PG-13. I guess out of an idea that they would make more money doing that, and it was also directed by Paul W.S. Anderson,
Yeah,
Mila Jovovich's husband, and the auteur of the famed Resident Evil films. And this one's rated R, so I'm expecting some pretty sweet violence to come this way. But yeah, like historically speaking, I remember the early '90s, the Aliens versus Predator arcade cabinet. Do you
right.
remember that?
Yeah,
That game was awesome. Just a beat 'em up with aliens and Predator. And there's all those comics. I think I probably had some at some point in my life, and lore. There's video games in the late '90s as well. I think there was a PC game, and then there was, I don't know if it came out in coordination with either of these movies, but there was one on PS3 that I remember. I never played it, but I remember it. But yeah, 2004. This one 2007. I remember, when did it come out here? It was a Christmas Day release. I remember the theater I worked at. I think in Denton, it was an immediate to a small theater. I remember it being in theater one, seeing the Mylar up there. So the anticipation was not that high. We'll talk about the box offices, when we get to the recap here. But that's my knowledge going in. And also, Dave Attell, one of my favorite comedians, had a great joke about his gambling getting out of control. And he said it was something to the effect of, he's like, you're gambling, you've hit rock bottom with your gambling addiction when you lose 20 grand on the movie Alien versus Predator.
that is actually something I wanted to ask you, though. I know you didn't place any bets, but you were watching the first one. It kind of builds up the Predators as the heroes, right?
It's so stupid. There's the one awesome. Okay, there's one really awesome part in that where one of the xenomorphs is sneaking up behind a predator, and it spins around and slices so quick that it takes a minute for the alien's face to like fall forward. That's like a cool like predator moment, and that's like a cool moment you would expect between those two beings. But yeah, the movie being this thing of like predators trained humans on how to live and how to like, uh, raise crops and shit, and then they come back to like their training exercise is to fight the aliens. It's very dumb. And then at the end, like you get the xeno. I guess the intrigue of this one at the end of Alien versus Predator, the chest burster of like the xenomorph predator hybrid appears, and that's how the movie ends. I don't know if that's going to come into play here in Requiem or not, but I guess we'll see.
So, based on that ending, you would say that round one went to the aliens?
Dude, it's Freddy versus Jason all over again.
There was no way in, though. There was no. They didn't have to
No,
cut weight.
God, I can't imagine how much the fucking cost would be of like a practical xenomorph and predator showing up on a scale in Las Vegas. Yeah, that's the bullshit of these movies, because the predators, like, the queen got killed. She got dragged into the bottom of the abyss there, the and also the first Alien versus Predator has very like a lot of imagery that is very reminiscent of The Thing. I was just like, even the point Lance Hendrickson has like a flamethrower that he tries to set the Predator on fire with. I'm like, what?
He doesn't know any better.
So the Predators wreck shop. They kill a lot of the aliens, but then yes, in the end, I guess, a la Alien 3, the main character, still has that burst from its chest. Not good. In my opinion, there's not much we can fall from. But I guess we'll see.
Did you score it? Did you land on at least a grade for the
Oh,
first AVP?
Like a D, 2 stars. Like it's not. Maybe I wasn't bored at any point, and for me that's like a big sticking point. So I wouldn't go as low as a star and a half because it's just really dumb. It's not like an offensive movie. It teetered right on being too long, and I saw this one's just about the same runtime, which is about an hour and 40 minutes. So, I would say a D, but so this doesn't like have the expectations. There's not a high bar to clear here.
Yeah, I surprised myself earlier today because I looked up what I gave it back when I watched it years ago, and I actually gave it 3 stars.
My God.
I like my review is pretty like it's not particularly positive, but it boils down to what you just said. I was like, I had fun. I was never bored. Yeah. There's like a bunch of humans I don't care about getting killed by by 2 cool looking aliens, and then the aliens eventually fight. My main problem with it was that for a movie that was called Alien versus Predator, there was a lot of like Alien versus Human and Predator versus Human. I wanted more actual Alien versus Predator. So that was my main thing going into Alien versus Predator Requiem. I'm like, all right, we got rid of all the preliminaries, and this is just the main event, right? In fact, it'd probably be like a super alien now.
Yeah.
So that's the promise, and just like you, I was hoping that they would follow that thread. So that's where we are. It's an hour and 40 minutes. So we're gonna watch, I would say 50 minutes, and then we come back here and we're gonna tell you how it's going. I remember very little. I remember some things about this movie, but not a whole lot. So it'll be an interesting revisit for me too. But that's it. We will come back with our thoughts halfway through. My cat is going nuts. I don't know if anybody can hear her, but she wanted to be part of this, and now she's being vocal. She wants the movie to start. So we'll be back in 50 minutes. We'll see you then. All right, we are back 49 minutes and 10 seconds into AVPR in my case. Did you stop it right at 50, Alex?
No, I got your text before I got to that point. I spoke too soon. Unless we're taking a dramatic turn here in the second half, I think the first Alien versus Predator has already been Elizabethtowned.
Yeah. Would you say this movie is darker than May December?
Not quite that dark, but it's pretty dark.
All right. We'll be taking second and third
tonally or in image.
image wise.
So I think May December is darker, but I think this one is like everything's too close up to understand what's happening.
Yes. I think that's the main thing we have to bring up, like right off the bat, and that's the thing that I remembered. I didn't remember the characters. I remember the plot. What I remember is staring at the screen and trying to figure out what the fuck was going on, because it's already alien anatomy and alien artifacts. So when you do a close up and it's dark and there's no context, you don't know what's happening.
Like, Do we even know why the predators are there? If so, I missed it, because that's the other thing about Alien versus Predator. It's not explained what's going on until an hour into the movie, and so he's like there trying to destroy the aliens. He's got like that goop that disintegrates them and whatnot.
I
So
I don't know. I mean, so my guess is because this guy was not in the ship that goes down, right? Like there's a ship that goes down. He gets the report somehow. I guess he was the closest, and so is he going?
he got the call.
Yeah, he
It was
reviewed the
he was the
footage.
closest Uber. Yeah, he looked up the available rides. Yeah.
Yeah, but is he going there just for revenge? Like his buddies went down, and so now he's going to avenge his buddies, or is he going in a mission of containment? Like, is he? Oh, we can't let the aliens take over the planet, right? Or is he just going for fun? Because the predators, I think, they're established as hunters, so it's like, oh, this is the adventure of a lifetime. I'm gonna go and hunt some aliens. But he seems pretty bummed when he finds the other predators,
Mm-hmm.
and I laughed because I had the subtitles on, and he he kneels next to one of the dead predators and puts his hand on them, and then the subtitle said, "Deep purring growl." Just goes, oh. Yeah. Um, yeah, it's really difficult to see what's going on, and
It's even more difficult to care.
well, we'll get to the characters in a minute, but I was trying to give them the benefit of the doubt because my first instinct is to just go, oh, it's just a cost cutting measure, right? You make everything dark, and so it's probably cheaper to do the effects, like the whole Godzilla 95, Godzilla 99, 98, Godzilla 98, right?
7.
God damn it. I threw like 5 numbers out there.
Wait, it might be 98.
The Matthew Broderick Godzilla.
Yeah. I'm thinking of the soundtrack, and it was 98. Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Was it early 98? May. Oh, it was a Memorial Day release. Yeah. I'm sorry. I was thinking of the soundtrack, and the Wallflowers were on that, and their big single was in 97.
Right.
So, yes.
No, this is Godzilla did not dance to One Headlight. He danced to Heroes.
Heroes, yes.
Yeah.
And then the soundtrack also had the the Godzilla remix of Brain Stew by Green Day.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Was there a music video where Godzilla was just like in the background?
I don't know about that, but of course the other, or like the big song from that was "Come With Me" by Redacted and Jimmy Page. And Redacted's out there like, it's Puff Daddy. That's the joke. He's out there like, with the wind blowing him, and Godzilla gets like right in his face, and he's like, come with me. I remember that. But yeah, that's anyway. Yeah,
that Godzilla. I mean, you brought it up before on the show how it was, it's raining the entire movie because that would make it easier for them to portray Godzilla. And
it saves money on the effects because you don't have to make them look like crystal clear that way. This has the classic. I was like waiting for it. Cheap horror movie death of someone trying to help someone through a window, and then they get pulled back in, and then blood splatters on the window. Like, so you don't actually see them die, but you get like there it is.
I mean, you get a lot of those. That does some of those close-ups. Like pretty early on in the movie, and I think, is this the only time in the franchise that we see a little kid get aliened?
Yeah, I was like, man, come on now.
They're like, we're radar, we're gonna go for it. But yeah, when the kid dies, I think the it's not the face hugger, it's
chest
whatever
burster.
The chest burster, right? Like, it's just a close up, so you don't really see the kid. You just see the. But yeah, it's so the cynical way of looking at this is that it's so dark and so incomprehensible on purpose, because they're like, well, this is how we cut costs, right? Like we do close-ups because that way we don't have to do the whole thing. We don't have to make it look good because we're just making the close-up look good, and it's dark, so we don't have to worry about the detail. That's the cynical way of looking at it. If you want to be more charitable with the filmmakers, I think you could say, no, this is an aesthetic choice that they made.
Yeah.
That look, these are alien structures, and so we are going to depict them in a way that would make it as confusing as if you were right there, right? When an
Mhm.
alien attacks you, you can't make sense of what you're seeing. When a predator targets you, you don't know what you're looking at. So
Yeah, I'm going to stop you there and argue that I don't think too many artistic choices were made with this. Directed by the brothers Strauss, Greg and Colin Strauss. Their follow-up was Skyline. Do you remember Skyline?
I haven't
With
seen Skyline.
Skyline has Eric Balfour and what's his name?
Is it Turk from
Turk from Scrubs? Yeah,
QVR from Scrubs. Yeah.
Donald Faison. That's
Yes.
his name. Yeah, that movie is awful.
Can you see what's happening?
No.
Oh, well, then there you go.
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember. The aliens look weird in that. Well, but they were the executive producers on Take Shelter, which is, of course, very celebrated artistic entry, I would say.
Yeah.
This is going to make some sense to you now. They cut their teeth directing music videos.
I mean, that is the third element, right? It's like the darkness, the close-ups, and the editing is just all chopped up. You can't. Another reason why you can't make sense of what you're looking at is because the cuts don't make sense. It's just confusion.
Directed the crawling music video by Linkin Park. How You Remind Me by Nickelback. Never made it as a wise man. Couldn't cut it as a poor man stealing. They also directed I Stand Alone, the single by Godsmack that was for the Scorpion King, The Rock's first leading role. And I remember that music video. I think it's not them performing in like, the desert, but like they're performing and it's like laced with clips of the Scorpion King.
Also, The Rock makes an appearance.
Yes, absolutely. Price to Play by Stained. And these guys were a few videos for Perfect Circle. Yeah, man, they were thriving in the early 2000s there.
That is impressive that they would score this movie. Even if it's, it's not part of the traditional timeline for either franchise, it's still two big names. You would think that you don't just give an Alien versus Predator movie to guys that haven't really proven themselves, but maybe they just didn't care. The people behind the franchise, whoever's making this decision.
Dude, that first one made like $170 million. Like, I can't believe they didn't just like throw money at Paul W.S. Anderson to come back.
Oh, he has integrity, Alex. He said, no, I said one, and just one.
They wouldn't let Mila Jovovich be the star, and he was like, I'm out.
She was gonna be a predator. Like within the first 15 minutes, take the mask off.
Well, these directors are probably cheap, and if I could play devil's advocate, we aren't far. The 03 Texas Chainsaw Massacre is not far in the rear view, and that is, again, a famous example of a music video director. And that movie had a fairly modest budget and made a lot of money, so maybe that was their rationale.
Yeah, but still, what's that guy's name?
Marcus Nispel.
Marcus Nispel.
Yeah.
I don't think that they just hand you this blind, right? You have to bring some proof of concept. You have to tell them, well, this is how we're going to make it work. This is what I'm thinking, right? And these guys, did they just lie? Like, this is what we're thinking. It's going to be really cool.
We played the arcade game once.
The light's really dim. The power was low. All right, so this is, would you say, Alex, that this is shaping up to be a slasher just because of the cast?
It is. This is a lot of the idea of Jason Takes Manhattan, of like taking Jason out of his element and putting him like in the real world. And, we've had these shots of like the xenomorphs coming up out of the sewers, and there's all these people that I don't give a shit about, like that are just like tropes of slasher movies. There's like the nerdy guy who's trying to score the girl. There's a hot girl, and she has this douchebag boyfriend who's mean. And then like the woman who just came home from serving in battle, and her husband gets taken by a xenomorph.
She has the little daughter that
Mhm.
now that we know, they opened the movie by killing a kid, so that means that they could kill this little girl
All
too.
bets are off.
Yep.
And then is it John Ortiz? Is that his name?
Yes.
He's in this for some reason.
Perennial that guy, John Ortiz. Where do you know
Mod-
him from?
Moderately respected actor John Ortiz. Carlito's Way, first and foremost.
Yes. I knew we talked about him before.
There's something I'm like picturing his face in a movie. He's been on Contrarians twice. Ad Astra, he was in as well. So there you go. I'm blanking on the main thing I know him from, but I can picture him in a movie of some sort.
Well, now you know him from AVPR, and
I do.
he's the sheriff. He
had 2 movies in 2007: Alien vs. Predator: Requiem and American Gangster. One of these films was a bit more respected than the other.
Yeah, but I would wager his part in Alien vs. Predator: Requiem is a little bigger. You know?
Oh yeah, less preparation, more money.
Yeah, he has a. I mean, he might be the closest we have to a protagonist is him, and then the bad boy that just came back to town, the older brother of the nerdy kid, and they seem to be like the closest we have to like strong protagonists. I guess the woman that just came back from Iraq, or which war were we fighting?
Would have been the Middle East at that point.
She seemed. I mean, she just lost her husband. Which, by the way, the only other people that I know in this movie, that woman, she's Michelle from 24. I actually wrote down her name, Reiko Aylesworth. Reiko. Michelle from 24. She's there like in the first 4 seasons. I don't think I recognized her the first time I watched this movie. But now, because, I just given up pretty early on and trying to follow the action. I was like, I'll just focus on the faces of the people. So that's her. And then her husband is a guy from True Blood, the vampire show from HBO.
Sure.
I mean, he might have been in True Blood, but that didn't help him have more than 2 scenes in this movie because he goes down pretty early. But yeah, I agree. I felt like it was a slasher setup. A bunch of people, most of them we don't care about, and then they start getting killed. I don't understand. Going back to what started this, I don't understand what the plan is as far as the Predator goes, because it seems a little unnecessary for him to murder and skin a human if he's there just for the aliens.
Throw him off the trail, brother.
Yeah. Get them confused. Because at first I thought he was dissolving the corpses of the alien victims because he wanted to cover their tracks. He's like, I don't want to start a panic. I don't want him to know that there's aliens here. But that kind of flies in the face of that theory when he kills a human and displays him.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if the point is that the Predator is also a menace to humans, and we just don't know.
That point would have been made 20 years before this movie came out. So.
Yes. Can you even tell if there is a difference to the alien or to one of the aliens?
Yes, there's one that showed like the face of that has like the fucking predator jowls or fangs or whatever you want to call them.
Okay,
but it's not anywhere near as cool as I was hoping it was going to be. Maybe we'll get some shot of it lit up here towards in the second half of this movie, but so far it's been a big letdown.
Well, as the first half was drawing to a close, Alex, the power went out. So thus assuring that we're going to be in darkness for the second half, probably.
Thank God.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, unless they make it to sunrise and then we finally get to see some definition on the Predator and the aliens. It's been mostly sewers and dark streets. It's not looking good.
Forest terrain.
Yeah, forest terrain. But yeah, and then I had to look at my notes because I was like, I know there was one more thing that bothered me: the fucking infrared camera that they keep cutting to. It's like the POV of the Predator, as if you couldn't make things uglier and more confusing.
Which is a really awesome reveal in the original Predator. It's like a really cool touch that no movie since featuring the Predator has come close to like capturing, because you can only really do that one time. You know, it's seeing Arnold's red eye in the Terminator. Like it's the first time. It's like, yeah, I get that you have to make homage to this at this point, but you should be a little more sparing with it in this movie.
Yeah, every scene with the Predator cuts to his point of view, and it's just, it really doesn't add anything to the movie, and it just makes things more confusing. So, so tell me, Alex, as we head into the second half, who's gonna make it? Who's gonna survive? You're the slasher expert here. You watch horror movies constantly.
Well, the kid died in the opener, so who knows? I'd imagine little wiener guy and his girlfriend will make it out, but the boyfriend will probably get some awful fate. John Ortiz will make it.
Because he's John Ortiz.
Yeah, and then the woman who served our country will make it because God bless the troops. Her and her daughter will make it. Okay, here's what I'll say. I hope I am given reason to care by the end of the movie who makes it and who doesn't.
It's difficult when you are halfway through the movie and you don't care. It's unlikely, but
yeah,
I guess we'll see.
It's a glass half full type of perspective.
Yeah, something awesome may happen. All right, well, we will come back after we finish the movie and we'll give it scores and we'll talk about it. And I guess Alex is gonna share the box office numbers with me. I might pull some Rotten Tomatoes quotes just to round things up. But we'll be back in about 50 minutes.
Colonel, the town's completely overrun. What's the Army's evacuation plan?
There's an airlift in 30 minutes.
The Colonel's line. The Army thinks about containment first. If I'm right,
We're all dead.
All right, this is it. We made it to the end of Alien versus Predator Requiem. And man,
do we know why? We were joking about it. Did John give us a reason why?
No, he didn't. So I will. I expect an apology, John, or at the very least, a fun reason. Maybe he just wanted me to reconsider how bad I think Invasion USA is. It's like, oh, you thought that was bad? Well, I'll give it this. This movie would have been more entertaining with Chuck Norris in it. All respect to John Ortiz, but I don't.
They didn't make it.
No, man, your prediction was off.
It was.
He really died. He was blown to bits,
along with the majority of the townspeople.
Did you see that coming?
Yeah, like when they were tracking it, and like the first call, that guy answered, and he was like, "The pickup here," and the one woman is like talking sense. Is like, that doesn't make any sense. That's the center of town. Everyone's going to be there. It's like, no, it'll be all right. The government will look after us. That's Last of Us style shit.
Yeah. That was weird that they had that shot of it's just the mouth of the Colonel.
Yeah,
right? Like it was going to be reveal.
Yeah, like it was fucking Bill Paxton or something. It was just like, oh, okay, that guy. Well, regardless of how boring this movie is, it made $130 million. The first one made $170 million. And the ending of this certainly left the door wide open for a sequel, so it's kind of surprising we didn't get one. The first one had a budget of about 70 million. This one 40. So they took away the lighting budget and saved $30 million. But the brothers Strauss or Straws or whatever, I was like, fuck off when their directing credit said that. It was directed by the brothers Strauss. I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm out of here.
So what is it? Why wouldn't this movie more than doubled its budget? So technically, it made more of a profit than the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And no sequel. Was it because there's still somebody with a soul in Hollywood? They're like, let's put a stop to this right now.
I guess. I think they were just like, no, we've gone too far. We spent too much time worrying if we could. We didn't ask whether we should.
I want to know who got to that cliffhanger and got really excited. You know, like the thing that we always make fun of, the whole like, let's go, when they like that woman turns around.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Multiple Golden Raspberry nominations.
John
Worst
Ortiz get
sequel or
one?
prequel? No. Worst excuse for a horror movie. The Golden Schmoes Award. I don't know what the fuck that is, but biggest disappointment of the year. And then it was nominated for Best Fight Sequence in the MTV Movie Awards that year.
Which one? Like the last one?
It just says Alien versus Predator.
It's a draw, right? They both kill themselves,
Well, they're both,
kill each other.
It's very much, it's literally the Freddy versus Jason sequence where they have each other stabbed and beaten, and then they get blown up by the protagonists of the film, in this case, the humans.
Yeah, but at the end, the predator's not walking away carrying the alien head.
That would have been awesome. The alien head winks.
Yeah.
Or just goes. Yes, the Predators movie that followed this 3 years later was a much better movie than this. So
I always forget that that's how they came. I thought this was after the Adrian Brody action star
that's
experiment.
2010.
Okay, well, so that's an upswing. That's definitely a bounce back for for the franchise. This was pretty bad. It's so bad that I can't believe I forgot that there was a whole sequence in the maternity ward where they basically make you wonder if you're going to see the alien just eating a whole buffet of babies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought they were going to go there because by then the movie had gone plenty of places. So,
But instead, he impregnates a woman who's like already in induced labor, and then her belly rips open later, and her womb's just full of a gaggle of xenomorphs.
that's one of those instances I would like to say that was the starting point, right? And then they built the whole sequence in the hospital ward around it.
All right, there needs to be a pregnant woman giving birth to a round of xenomorphs, which, they eventually got it right. Prometheus, and that seems pretty fucking cool.
And you can see what's happening. So
yes. Yeah, they got really bad at the end where it's just pouring rain on both of them, and then they're stabbing, and there's the blood, the neo blood from both of them, the neon, blood just spilling. And yeah, neither of them are good movies, but the first one, at least, as stupid as the plot is, makes a little bit of sense of like, this is why they're fighting. And I guess there's an idea of why they're fighting here, but there's also all these human characters we're supposed to care about now, and it just doesn't work. It's the whole thing with like Alien and Predator isn't like, neither of them are scary coming to us. The whole idea of that is you go to their fucking domain and that you get punished for doing that. Like that, there's no, the aliens, if they wanted to come to Earth, they would have. Was it 3? On Earth, no one can hear you scream. That was
I mean, that was just
that was the idea. Yeah.
And, Fincher said, "No, thanks."
Anyway, seeing the xenomorphs and the Predator on like a residential street in Middle America is not appealing to me at all. This is just a low-grade horror movie because the acting is, with the exception of John Ortiz, and that's about it. Everyone else is acting like you would expect. Like the level of acting is tantamount to the 2009 Friday the 13th.
But I mean, it's not like the movie needs them to do anything else. I think that these are people that are like, well, why would I do better than this?
Yeah.
They can't even see me do it. So who cares? There's one moment of tension in the entire movie, and it comes, I checked to see like how far along are we. It was like 1 hour and 10 minutes, and that is when they have the discussion of, do we go where the government is telling us to go, or do we follow our gut and go to the hospital?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it stood out because I realized it was the first time in the movie that I cared about what they were saying. There was an actual conflict, and there were people making arguments, pros and cons, and I was like, I wanted them to go to the hospital together, so I felt a little bad for John Ortiz when he put his faith in the government and got on the tank and went away. That's the
He's a
only
cop, man. He should know how corrupt the system is.
Yeah, but he's small town. He doesn't know. He has no idea.
He's blinded by the American flag pin he wears every day.
Yeah. The death of the blonde girl, the terrible.
That was
girlfriend.
surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That made me laugh.
Jesse! No, wait!
She
Yeah.
just goes against the wall. That's it. I can't think of anything else that I could say that I enjoyed in the movie. I laughed when I wasn't supposed to laugh about, every time that somebody died, and then the big, like the big scene where they crashed, and then the rest of the National Guard, I guess the government troops come and get them, and they have like a standoff, and then they finally like lower their they take him in and all that stuff. It was just. It felt like it was the setup for like one last action scene, right? Like the Predator's gonna show up, or one of the aliens is gonna show up. But no, it literally just petered out, and then it just took us to a cliffhanger. So not even that, not even in what would be the most effective trope in this type of movie, it didn't even deliver that. So this sucked. It was terrible.
Yeah, this wasn't a particularly enjoyable experience. Definitely glad I watched the first one beforehand, so that one, I had something to base it off of, and two, I'm not going to 3-star it, but I think I don't even know if I can go 2.5. It may be a situation where the first one is 2 stars and this one's 1 star. I think this is pretty piss poor, which sucks because, like, obviously we are fans of the Alien franchise, and definitely more so than you, but I'm like the original Predator I love, and very high on the Adrian Brody action vehicle Predators. I've never seen The Predator, which came out a few years ago. Yeah, I remember
don't.
I remember you telling me that, and I kind of had no desire because I think it might have been the last UFC pay-per-view I went to. It was sponsored by the Predator, and like between every like round and every fight, they were showing the same commercial for the Predator over and over. That like by the end of it, I was like, I want this movie to fail because I'm just sick of seeing this commercial.
But at no point did they have Shane Black like read a promo.
No, sadly, he didn't say the ritual's about to begin. A well-deserved 12% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yes, I just took a screenshot of the consensus. The increased gore and violence over the first Alien vs. Predator can't excuse Requiem's disorientating editing, excessively murky lighting, and lack of new ideas. I mean, yes.
So basically, my whole like shield, the boat that I was Tom Hanks, and the boat I built to get away from the island was, this is going to be rated R, so that means there's at least going to be some sweet violence in it for me to like, to quench my bloodthirst. And you can't even see any of it that happens. So I really got screwed on this one.
Yeah. The only time that it kind of pays off is the whole thing with the pregnant woman, which is just gross. And then the early on, it's not that it's super graphic that they killed the kid, but it was still pretty
a bit shocking,
right? Because you don't expect that kind of stuff in one of these movies. But yeah, other than that, let me pull up I probably gave it like 0.5 star. I hated this movie the first time, and the only reason I had an okay time watching it now was because I was laughing. I already knew it was terrible, and I wasn't expecting it to get better. So there was no disappointment. I gave it 1 star. Wow, that's 0.5 star more than it deserves. What did I say? Oh, I was probably in a good mood because I opened by saying nobody sets out to make a shitty movie.
Oh God,
This may give them credit. I mean, it is true. Even if you assume you take that cynical position of like every decision that we don't like here is
Mhm.
was something they did on purpose to cut costs, and how can we maximize profit? Everybody's going to show up to watch it anyway because it's Aliens and Predator or whatever. The brothers Strauss, I mean, they have to have some sort of pride that they don't want to put a shitty movie out.
Yeah.
They must have thought, okay, well, we can cut costs and we can do something cool, and it just didn't work out. It honestly, it's impressive that they were given another movie after that, but I guess it made money, so.
I think also this goes back to what we talked about in the the check-in there of like, this was their first featured length film. It's a big property, expected high box office. They're probably pretty giddy at the opportunity, to the point of not really questioning when the producers and stuff are like, hey, do this way. I think, that's a tale as old as time, up and coming or just struggling, directors taking horror movie roles to kind of get the experience. It's
right.
It's not often, and when it is, people know about it to the nth degree of like new directors coming into horror movies and then being like, no, this is the way we're going to make it. This is how I make movies and shit like that. So yeah, it's just, for all the parts we've discussed, it was just a recipe for a bad movie, even if that wasn't the intention.
Yeah. So
which,
what's,
like you said, I believe that it never is the intention to make a bad movie. You're right.
Yeah. I'm going to lower it to half a star. So, what's your score?
I'll give it 1, because it has a merciful runtime, 1 star. So like D-. It's teetering on that F territory, man. But having seen worse movies like this from the same time period, okay, there you go. It's not as bad as the 2009 Friday the 13th, and that's around the same time period.
Oh man, that is just your heart leading you,
blinding me.
Yeah. I think your love for Friday the 13th, in how personally you take the offenses.
Yeah, this is just an 80s slasher. Even like the fucking, you don't see him die, but the wise old chef in the diner,
yeah,
he's like way too kind. I was like, well, this guy's gonna get killed any second now.
Yeah, you can see what's going on in Friday 13th, 2009. You may not want to, but but at least it's there. You can follow the action. And
unlikely, but I could see a series of events leading to a situation that at some point in the future, Julio, if you and I were hanging out or at a party putting this on to make fun of it whilst drinking beer or something of that nature. But I'm never sitting down to watch this front to back just for fun.
I was going to say there's nothing in this movie. There's not a line that's as good as, what is it? Your tits are stupendous.
Stupendous, yes.
Yeah. But then I remember, I actually wrote it down. They do a callback to get to the chopper, which is
that was when my last like shred of patience and hope just like flew away. That's in the first one, when the main girl goes to kill the alien. She says, "You're one ugly mother," and then the gun goes off because it's PG-13.
Right.
I was like, wait, no, Arnold said that to the Predator, not the alien. But in this case, I'm like, fuck it, who cares?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All right. Well, final question, Alex. Is this a Christmas movie? It was released in Christmas Day.
I like when I read that, I'm like, it's a bold strategy, Cotton. But then, like thinking about it, like it made $130 million, so I guess it worked. But no, there's nothing in this that could even approach qualifying it as a Christmas movie.
It's not even a feel-good movie.
There's not even like a mall Santa leaving at the beginning that gets eaten by an alien.
All right, maybe the director's cut. Anyway, if for some reason you are somebody that enjoys Alien vs. Predator Requiem and has been truly disappointed, not just by our take, but by the fact that there's no third movie, and we never found out what that woman was planning to do with the Predator's gun.
Mhm.
Well, let us know. We like to hear from people that think differently from us. Maybe we just take this too seriously. Maybe there's a way to enjoy this movie, and maybe if you have like the best TV ever, you can make more sense of what's on the screen. Let us know either way. But John, thank you for putting us through this. I am glad that if I was gonna have to rewatch AVPR, I did it with Alex by my virtually, and now it's done. I don't remember what's up next as far as QVRs go, but just keep an eye on the channel. Check the podcast to see what's coming up next that way. But thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon.